Programang ito ay rated SPG. Striktong patnubay at gabay ng magulang ang kailangan. Maaaring may masiselang tema, lengguwahe, karahasan, sexual, horror o droga na hindi angkop sa mga bata.
Goal number 3. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Goal number 3, which includes, among other things, specific targets to reduce maternal mortality and AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis by 2030. Ensure access to safe, effective, quality, and affordable medicines, and critically ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive healthcare services, including family planning. HIV is the acronym for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. The virus attacks the human immune system, resulting in a chronic and progressive illness that leaves the subject vulnerable to infections. Once the body is unable to fight infections on its own, the pathology is advanced to the final stage of AIDS, or acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. The virus can survive outside the host body due to the temperature below 35 degrees Celsius. For this reason, HIV can't be transmitted through handshake, coughing, kissing, and sneezing. The virus must enter the body through blood, semen, vaginal fluid, spinal fluid, and breast milk. There are 2 ways to establish the presence of the virus, both requiring a blood sample. The rapid test is performed by piercing one finger and testing the blood right away, while the standard and most accurate test requires a blood sample that will be analyzed in the lab and takes up to 2 weeks for the results. Both tests look for the presence of HIV antibodies and not for the actual virus. It can take up to 12 weeks for the antibodies to be generated. This means that an accurate result can be obtained only after the amount of time since the probable exposure to the virus. Remember, being HIV positive doesn't mean you have AIDS. Prevention remains our strongest weapon and has to be achieved through information awareness and control. And even if a definitive cure is not available yet, medication called antiretroviral allows us to reduce the amount of virus in the bloodstream, preventing HIV from duplicating, spreading, and reaching the final stage of AIDS.
Audio Jungle.
The Philippines has the fastest growing number of HIV infections in Asia, a report by the United Nations and the government.
The Department of Health reported a total of 1,098 new cases of HIV infections in May 2017.
DOH also reported 15 deaths among people with HIV as of May 2017. 15 of them are all males.
According to the latest HIV and AIDS register of the Philippines, 29 Filipinos are reported to be infected with HIV daily.
DOH said that 95% of the new cases of HIV was male and its middle age is 28 years old.
The 5 regions that had the most reported cases said by DOH are the National Capital Region with 404 cases, Calabarzon with 155 cases, Central Luzon with 108 cases, Central Visayas with 98 cases, and Davao Region with 60 cases.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
HIV or STI prevention program, the most objective of this is to prevent transmission of HIV or STI, the most at-risk population and general population, to mitigate its impact for every individual, family, and community level.
There is a law regarding of it. The Republic Act No. 8504, known as the Philippines AIDS Prevention and Control Act of 1988.
There are 26 treatment hubs in the Philippines for HIV-diagnosed patients, one of which is located within the Bicol Regional Training and Teaching Hospital.
In this section, guests share the experience of living with the stigma of HIV.
Paano ka nagkaroon ng ganitong sakit o karamdaman?
I was 16 years old nang first time ko makipagtali. Nakilala ko lang sila isang araw, tapos after a week, mag-iiba na naman ako na makikilala. Nakikipagtalik ako ng walang proteksyon, kasi nga po, wala namang mabuti sa bakla. So it's okay na walang condom. But it's already a lack of education. Wala akong alam sa mga risk.
So, kailan mo nalaman na HIV positive ka?
May mga nararamdaman na akong symptoms before. But first, I was completely in denial. Pero naisip ko, hindi naman to normal. So I have undergone test at doon ko lang nalaman na HIV positive ako. Mahirap tanggapin. Even my family, hirap tanggapin ang sitwasyon ko. Pero andito na to, kaya kailangan kong tanggapin at magpakatatag.
You cannot tell if someone has HIV by looking at them. In fact, many people who have the HIV virus do not know that they are infected because they do not show any symptoms for many years. This is why it is important that people are tested for HIV. There is no cure, but there are medicines which will help an HIV-positive person live longer.
Paano ka nagkaroon ng ganyang sakit?
Ako kasi ang breadwinner ng pamilya namin, so kinailangan ko magtrabaho abroad para matustusan ang pangangailangan ng pamilya. Nag-caregiver ako sa simula, pero mababa pa rin yung kita ko. Hindi pa sapat para matustusan yung ama ko na nagda-dialysis. Tapos, meron ba akong 3 kapatid na nag-aaral. Kaya naging kaibigan ako doon, tapos ayun, I was invited by this friend of mine. Sinabihan niya ako, nahihirapan ka na. May trabaho akong gustong i-offer sa'yo. It was my first time doing it with someone. Meron akong 2 kliyente without knowing the risk that I can get from doing those kind of actions. Karamihan kasi dun sa mga na-encounter ko before is unprotected.
So, kailan mo nalaman na HIV positive ka?
Nung pag-uwi ko dito, may naging boyfriend ako, pero nag-break din kami. Tapos, after a year, nakita ko yung kapatid niya, and she told me na patay na yung ex ko. Nagpatas daw ito. He was HIV positive. Tapos, tinanong niya ako if gusto ko rin magpa-test. So, yun nga, nagpa-test ako. And I found out na HIV positive ako. As of now, nag-undergo ako ng medication para di na lumala pa.